Hey there and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about how to start a Charlotte Mason co-op in your local community. You guys, I get so many questions on how to start a Charlotte Mason co-op, and I feel like this video has been like a year in the making, but I'm finally sitting down to film it and to get you guys ready for your next school year. Hopefully this video will help you find community and give you a few ideas on how to start your own co-op. So I have posted before that I started my own community learning group, or we call it a Truth, Beauty, Goodness group, last fall, and I had moved to a new state, so I actually didn't know anybody. It's really easy for someone that knows people around them that have Charlotte Mason friends and that are familiar with Charlotte Mason and homeschool, but I had two obstacles. I didn't know anyone around my community, and I wanted to start a co-op. So I didn't know anyone when I moved to my new state, and yet I was still able to do it. So if I can do it, you can too. I also started a nature study club in our area in both states. So we had one both in our old state and our new state. So I've started it in two different areas. And so I have a separate video on how to start a nature club that you're welcome to watch. I'll link it in the description for you. But if you are interested in starting a Charlotte Mason co-op, here are a few things you need to do. You want to gauge the interest in your community. So I joined, when I moved to my new state, I joined local groups. I looked for, this is just an example, Florida homeschoolers on Facebook groups, or Palm Beach homeschoolers, and I tried to find homeschool families locally, just online. And then you can also use the wild and free option. They have like a group list on their website, and that is really helpful just to see the different locations. It's a good starting point, and it allowed me to weed out families that weren't necessarily Charlotte Mason homeschoolers. There's also a wonderful list on a Charlotte Mason website that I'll have to link to in the description on Charlotte Mason specific families. You could even just search, Palm Beach, Charlotte Mason homeschoolers. You'd be surprised at how many communities are out there that are Charlotte Mason specifically based. So once I joined a local group, I would just make a post in the group and I would say, okay, if there are any families interested in starting a local co-op or joining in, with Form 1 students specifically, I made sure to be very specific about our needs, because it's not really useful for me to join a co-op with someone who has high schoolers. My kids are all Form 1 and lower, so I wanted to be really transparent when I was looking for families. So step 2, after that, I created a survey with a series of questions like, do you currently homeschool? What are your children's ages? What is your homeschool style? What do you like to do in your free time? I found that these questions were crucial in finding families who were serious about joining a co-op, who are like-minded, and it helped me get to know them a little bit more without having to commit to, okay, great, you want to start a co-op? Awesome, so now we're all like in a co-op together, but we don't really know each other. And so it really helped me get to know the people that were interested. And I did say up front that I only wanted a few families to be in the community in our specific co-op, just so that it was very tight-knit and a smaller group, since I would be kind of leading it for the most part. And we'll talk about how it looked in just a few minutes. But so that's step 2, is really just to kind of start weeding out the families. And step 3, once I got through the responses that I received, there were maybe 15 or 20, and I was able to look through the questions and select families that I felt like would be a really good match for our family. So things that I was hoping to find with the moms, most Charlotte Mason homeschoolers are somewhat similar in that they enjoy hiking, or they love being outside, or they love reading, both mom and kids. And so those were things that I was looking for. And again, I was so transparent when I did post that survey, which, by the way, you can just use like a free survey maker. That's what I did. I think I can't remember what I used. I'll try to find it and link it in the description. It was very easy to create, and once I created that survey, I posted it, and I was just very transparent on what I was looking for, and that even though it was just an interest form, it didn't mean that I was like definitely going to start a co-op with them. I just tried to be really gentle, but also like really transparent and specific. So once I selected a few families that I found would be a good match, I messaged them and invited them to a park play date. So this was just so we could get to know each other. And the families I eventually chose for our co-op did meet all summer long. And so the park play date and just meeting throughout the summer, it allowed the children to get to know each other. And there were some that would come to the play dates and they would kind of find, oh, our kids aren't really meshing, or, oh, you know, maybe I don't really think that I can commit to an entire year of meeting. And so meeting a little bit before we actually began the co-op was really helpful because it allowed us to kind of weed out those families that either weren't going to be committed or, you know, wanted to, but they didn't feel like they could, or maybe their kids just didn't work out well with the group and they just didn't click, and that's okay. But it was very much the family's decision whether or not they felt like it was a good match. I only messaged and invited people that I felt like I definitely wanted in the co-op. That means their kids were similar ages. You know, we were like-minded. We personally don't celebrate Halloween, and so I tried to find families that didn't celebrate Halloween just because I know sometimes there's that expectation of, you know, Halloween themed co-op day or whatever, and Valentine's and all that stuff. And we don't really do a lot of those holidays just because we've chosen not to as a family. So it was helpful to, you know, talk through that stuff and just get to know the families and the moms. It was wonderful. After the summer, we went from 7 families in the beginning to only 4 families, and it was a really good number. We had really gotten to know each other, and when lessons began in the fall and I was going to start leading the group in our truth, beauty, and goodness subjects, I was able to be super comfortable with the kids. They knew who I was. It wasn't this like back to school, who's my teacher type thing. It was like so fun just to already know each other and be really close because we had met up a few times throughout the summer. So step 4, after you've got your families all selected, is I planned out everything ahead of time. I made a schedule for our meeting days, and I planned what we would study, and I planned where we would meet and what time. We met at a local park, and if the weather was bad, now I've always lived in a place that was somewhat mild. It's not like we were living in Minnesota in the winter, and so we were able to meet outside for most of the year. But if there were ever like an issue with weather, I would invite them over to my house if possible. But I think too, you could meet in a library. A local library has a lot of groups that can meet. If you like reserve a room. We only met twice a month, and so there were 4 to 5 meetings per term. That's not a huge commitment, but it's enough to where you want to have a consistent place, a consistent time, all that stuff. And like I said, I planned it out ahead of time, and I had one night where I invited all the co-op moms to come, and we just discussed it, talked through it. I introduced the subjects we'd be going through. And I created a group text and asked everyone to meet with me. And so at that meeting, we had a little agenda. I shared a supplies list. I shared the subjects we'd be going through. In our co-op, we did hymns and folk songs, artist study and composer study, recitations, nature study, brush drawing, solfege, and folk dancing. And all of those subjects were supported by the CMEC. So we are able to, I didn't have to like do a ton of work. It was just mostly implementation. So I also had like a little supply list of things they could order. They needed to have the artist prints, perhaps maybe a Truth, Beauty, Goodness songbook. If you select certain hymns and folk songs that you guys will be going through, you want everyone to know what those are ahead of time. And it really, again, just is so helpful to plan it all out ahead of time because it helped me stay organized. It helped me know, it helped all the families kind of know what to expect. So that planning night was really useful. After that, we just started meeting, and we had the loveliest year with our co-op. We ended up moving, so we are currently in the making of doing a new co-op now, but we really did get really close with a lot of the families, and it was a lovely time. And these steps that I just shared with you, I really do feel were useful in preparing our children and preparing ourselves and our minds as mothers on meeting together and it really set the stage for how we were going to spend our time together. Organization and planning, as I always say, is key. And then a quick note, if you are watching this and you have a student that's not in formal lessons yet, I want to add that 3 years ago, I found Charlotte Mason. I started homeschooling. Well, actually, it's been more like 4 years. My daughter was 3. Oh my gosh, 5 years. Okay, no, it's fine. 5 years, no big deal. My daughter was 3 when I found Charlotte Mason, and I found that we've been homeschooling like for a long time, but we hadn't started formal lessons, and I still had a huge need for community. If you're watching this and you're feeling, bummed that your student is not old enough to be in a co-op, participate in a co-op, there are definitely ways to get outside and be together. Like I said, I have a video coming out on the Nature Study Club. And the Nature Club is wonderful for younger students who are just learning to observe nature and learning how to nature journal. We love the Nature Club for older grades as well, but you could just start a hiking group or a simple outside nature group that doesn't require a lot of planning. So don't feel discouraged if you don't have students in formal lessons yet, if your kids are much younger. Just still take most of the steps that I shared and look for community and start a group and say, okay, we're all going to meet on this day, and just don't feel discouraged. So I hope this video was helpful for you. Like I said, check out the Nature Study Club video as well, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.